Hi, I'm Emma Helsloot.
And I'm Laura Zain from the Women in Retail Media Collective. You're listening to the CPG Guys podcast.
Welcome to the CPG Guys podcast. Your hosts, Shri Rajagopalan and Peter V.S. Bond, explore how brands and retailers engage consumers in an increasingly digitally driven world. And now, here are the CPG Guys. Hello and welcome to the CPG Guys podcast. I'm PVSB, co-host and co-founder. I also serve as head of industry and client engagement at Flywheel, the e-commerce accelerator division of Omnicom. Joining me in the hosting duties for today's episode, as always, is of course my co-founder of this growing media platform. He's the chief revenue officer at Think Blue Consulting and patriarch of the Raj family media empire with his performing artist daughters Laura Rea and his wife and fellow podcaster Kavita. Most recently, he served as the chief customer officer at a tiny little consumer packaged goods company called General Mills. He's the man known as Shri. Shri, greetings in Atlanta. How's the Commerce Media Brand Summit going?
So far, great, Peter. It was awesome to be here, be amongst the retail media and commerce media discussions in the industry. It's pretty clear one thing stands out, and it's what we gathered at CAGNY, right? The importance of retail media, commerce media, and the fact that standards and measurement still haven't established themselves in the industry. And it's ripe for anybody who creates a tool that can truly set standards and have like an ideal scorecard that measures commerce media, not just retail media, all of commerce media, is going to emerge a huge winner. It was great to host dinner last night with Recess, our friend Jack Shannon. And here we are, day 2, and it's great to see Emma and Laura on this podcast, where we're going to actually discuss and highlight, of course, what? The Women Retail Media Collective. We can't wait to do that. So let's get it going, man.
Thanks, Shri. Absolutely. Before we get to our guests, a few housekeeping details. Please make sure you're subscribing to our podcast on your favorite platform by clicking on the follow option. And if you listen to us, particularly on Apple or Spotify, please scroll down and leave us a rating because it'll help feed the algorithm that makes our podcast more discoverable by other industry contemporaries of yours. And while you do that, also leave us a review so that we can tailor the content to the interests that you have. And we'll remind you that today's episode is part of our Women's Month series, where each guest this month is an accomplished leader in our industry who just happens to be female. So let's get to our special guest today. Over the last 5 years, retail media has been the fastest growing channel within the media industry. Seemingly every week, we see a new RMN launched, offering brands more ways to connect with consumers in a closed-loop marketing system. While many women work in retail media, their presence at the highest levels of leadership is somewhat lacking. Here on the CPG Guys, we've done our best to feature inspiring female leaders in retail media, particularly during our annual Women's Month series, but frankly, we don't think that's enough. Late last year, our guests decided to form a new group dedicated to advancing the leadership opportunities for women in the retail media sector. The stated mission of the Women in Retail Media Collective is to connect, grow, and lead the empowerment of women to shape the future of retail media. In fact, Women in Retail Media Collective is actually co-hosting our Shop Talk kickoff party along with us and the FMCG guys. Here to share with us how WRMC is accelerating their mission are their two founders. Please join us in welcoming to the podcast Emma Helsloot and Anna Laura Zain. Ladies, welcome. How you doing?
Thank you for having us.
We're super excited to be here. It's really, thanks so much for having us.
We're going to get to the details of what's behind all of this, and we'll tell our audience that in the digital liner notes of this episode, we're going to have links to your LinkedIn profiles, to the Women in Retail Media Collective LinkedIn page, and to your website, so they can learn more about this. They can join this incredible group of pioneering leaders. And it's not just women, men. We need allies in this, right? It's not just about women. It's about all of us making the industry hospitable and opportunities for advancement for people of all genders. So let's just get right into the conversation, because I love the proverbial meet cute stories, right? How you guys got to know each other. So let's start with that. How did you come to know each other? and what involvement do you both have in your day jobs in the retail media landscape?
I think I can go first. So basically, I worked in ad tech my entire career in marketing. So I worked at companies like Comscore, for instance, or the programmatic industry, AppNexus, which was then acquired by Microsoft. And I always led marketing teams. Most recently, I started working for Pentalip, so kind of like always on the tech side of things. And with Pentalip, at Pentalip, I'm the CMO, and I met Emma last year. We're going to tell the story on how we actually ended up developing this idea. But we met, and then, we kind of like decided to kick things off, especially because it's a very interesting marketing and sales relationship that we have. I'm currently kind of like the Women in Retail Media Collective, as most people know, is a passion project for us. So we both work at Pentalip besides that.
I started my career in software sales and then joined Albert Heijn, biggest supermarket in the Netherlands, part of Ahold Delhaize. So I worked there at the retail media department, selling to CPG brands and launching new retail media propositions in the markets. I really love working in the retail media, and then wanted to work for an international startup environment. So I took that experience to the leading edtech server Pentalip, and there I'm responsible for the sales in EMEA. And I joined the company in the summer of 2024, then met Anna Laura, and we had an instant connection in the sales and marketing collaboration. And then we decided next to our full-time careers to take on a passion project.
Thank you for that. That's actually awesome that you all decided to convert a passion to something real that can benefit not just women, but can benefit the whole industry. But as Peter and I look around, we get to a lot of conferences. We get to talk to brands. We get to talk to retailers. We get to talk to service providers. They come on the show. We notice that there are pockets of female leaders in retail media, but generally it's very few. It's isolated, and we don't see a lot. What are you saying?
Yeah, it's very interesting because we've been talking about this, and especially now that we have over, I think, 600 members. We do have a good kind of like view of how things are set up in different markets as well, which is very interesting. So specifically in the US, I think is where we see most of the, on the kind of like head of retail media roles, is where we see most of the women that are also really representing us in a very good way. I think it's great to see Cara Pratt, the Home Depot ladies, which are super strong and powerful, including Stephanie Katoner. There are a lot of other women that are always kind of like attending events and speaking at panel sessions. So I think that's great, because we were also discussing how important it is to have women speaking on stage to inspire other women to also join and follow that path. Germany is the other market where we see that changing slightly. So Heike Larry from Zalando is one of the leaders that we've been working with as well. Patricia from OB, Jessica Wagner, you probably heard from her as well. She's from Douglas. And in the ad tech space, I think one of the women that I actually look up to is Melanie Zimmerman from Criteo. She's the one actually that built the Macy's Retail Media Network. And also Melissa Bergwitt from Pavview, for instance. That doesn't mean that there's, it's like the environment is very balanced per se. We know that based on some stats collected by Curie Masters, which is one of our friends and members as well of the collective, about 30% of leadership roles in retail media, so head of retail media, are held by women worldwide. So there's a lot of opportunity to change this. I think there's a big opportunity to change this. And because of the traction that we're gaining with the collective, I think it's the perfect time to actually try to change that. And I think something I haven't mentioned to you before, but perhaps we have discussed it with Emma, is that it's very kind of like easy to just like, get together and network and, there are plenty of organizations for that, and we really appreciate that. But I think it's very important as well to make sure we give more opportunities for women working not only at a leadership level, but any other level, to actually expose their knowledge and what they know as well about retail media, because there are a lot of experts out there. So if we can help with that and give it that platform, for us, it will be amazing, and we'll consider it's a good job. So, yeah.
Thank you for that, Ana Laura. I absolutely agree with you. It's not just about women at the highest level of leadership, because the way they get there is they are fostered and encouraged and mentored and sponsored throughout their career, even from the earliest levels. So we have to make sure that everyone is presented with that kind of an opportunity. So here at the CPG Guys, we are very much about the data. Would love to hear from you some cool industry data points about women in commerce that you really want to highlight to our audience to kind of help illustrate how important it is that your organization exists and its mission succeeds.
Yeah, I think exactly what you mentioned earlier, Peter, the retail media sector is exploding currently, and even more growth is predicted in the coming 2 years. But at the same time, women's voices are still underrepresented, and there are male-only panels at industry events. There are industry reports with 90% male contributors. And what Ana Laura just mentioned, from all the retail media networks, only 30% are led by a woman. So there's really a huge opportunity to shape the future of the growing industry. And that's why we started the collective. And some other stats that we're seeing, women drive 70 to 80% of all consumer spending. Yet they're so underrepresented in the leadership roles in commerce and retail media. And we're really on a mission to change that. And we really want to, we're going to touch upon our goals later as well, but we really want to make women more represented at those industry events, in panels, on stage, and really let their voices be heard. But in order to change it, we need to understand why they are underrepresented. So why they're not participating as much as men in panels. So we actually started a survey. We also love data, so we really want to understand what are the reasons that women aren't represented well enough. So we're running the survey currently for both women and men to really understand why. Yeah, what are the reasons behind it in order to change it?
Yeah, we'll make sure to include a link to that survey in the digital liner notes of this episode so that more people can take it. You can gather more data.
Exactly. Amazing.
Well, that's awesome. So clearly the numbers and stats that you've already quoted indicates we've got a gap. And as an industry, we need to pay attention first before we fix it. And hopefully the survey will give us the quantitative data we need to actually pay attention so we indeed do fix it. That said, right at the beginning of this podcast, Ana, you had said, I will tell you later how we both met and how we started the collective. So let's get to that. The numbers are obvious. We're going to have even more data coming out of the survey. They'll stare at us in the face. We'll see where we need to fix it. But for both of you, how did you decide to create a community for women in retail media? And what were the goals you established on day one for the collective? I mean, you're talking about a pretty large member base, so surely there must be a bunch of goals.
Yeah. Well, I think some people already heard the story, but it's good to remind everyone. In January last year, we hosted a dinner with Pentalip, and it was around NRF. So I think we had 17 people attending. The dinner went great. Our CEO was very happy, but then he did say, well, we have a problem because he just sent the picture of the dinner. And I was like, wow, it's very interesting. There were literally no women at that table. And as you can imagine, there were leaders on that dinner from most retail media networks. So it was very disappointing for everybody. So it was a very cool discussion I had with my CEO. And I think that's very important also to say, because, it's having the support from a company leader that is an ally is very important, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to do this as a passion project as well and feel empowered to do it, right? But yeah, that's how everything started. So I started having conversations with people about this idea. And it's also something that I've experienced myself as a woman. Usually in the ad tech world, I was most of the times like the only woman in certain discussions with leadership as well. So I think there is a big opportunity to change that. And then what happened was that Emma joined Pentalip. We discussed this potential idea of doing something. We didn't know what it was, but doing something to change this. And then this is how everything kind of like started. And Emma can tell you more about it as well.
In a different situation than Laura, but it was also something I was missing myself. So we both had some kind of idea in our mind that we wanted to do something with women in retail media. And for me, the idea behind it came from something I was missing. So when I was working at Albert Heijn before I joined Pentalip, I started looking for a new role. I wanted to work in a more international environment. And I really love networking, and I had quite a good network, but I was missing the international connections to better understand the industry or its opportunities. So retail media in the Netherlands is still growing compared to the markets like the UK or Germany. So I just started reaching out to people on LinkedIn to learn more about it. And what really stood out to me, it was mostly women that supported me. And by sharing knowledge, either giving advice or connecting me to companies or opportunities. And that really made me realize how women can lift each other up in this space. So at that time, something like the Women in Retail Media Collective would have been so helpful. And now with retail media growing so fast, it really feels like the right time to build it and really create a space where women can exchange ideas and support each other, and we can really highlight the women in the industry. So when we met, those two ideas came together, and we started thinking about it, doing something, and then we decided we should really do something about it and not only talk about it. And then, last November, we were just crazy enough to launch this initiative as a passion project next to our full-time jobs.
As you, one follow-up I had for you is, as you build the collective, a lot of organizations start very centrally and everything is managed and executed by the center. Are you all going to be an organization that runs WRMC from the center, or is it really based on local communities?
Yeah, we want to have both a global reach. Like we want to make our impact needs to be as big as possible. So we really want to reach as many people, women and men, as possible. But at the same time, we really want to foster local connections and really create a local community. So we also work with local community connectors. We're both based in Europe, and the collective is global. So for example, in the US, in Minneapolis, we have some women helping us. There's a very strong local community there. So we're kind of the center, but then we're working with this local collective connectors that we're currently setting up, also because it's getting a lot bigger than expected when we launched. So
let me remind our audience that Shri and I have the distinct pleasure during Women's Month to speak with Emma Helsloot and Anna-Laura Zain. They are the co-founders of the Women in Retail Media Collective. All right. So for the people who are interested in understanding the value proposition of joining this collective, what are the primary resources or benefits that you're hoping to offer your members? And we also understand, because I've read a couple of them, you've established a blog on your site. So what are you doing outward from you said you're going to focus on some regional stuff, but from a centralized perspective, what are you trying to offer those that seek to join the collective?
We're really creating a space based on 3 pillars where women can connect, grow, and lead. And what we're doing or what we're giving to our members is always based on those 3 pillars. So we're really building a strong international network where women can support each other. And it's based on either content or networking events and industry partnerships. So with our website, our blog, the Collective's journal, we're really creating a platform for women to publish their insights, share their stories, and really highlight their expertise. So we're going to publish 50 thought leadership pieces authored by a woman. And And we organize networking events, both local and international, to really help women build those meaningful connections and lift each other up. And it's what I just mentioned, Minneapolis is a great example of where Megan and Carol are helping us in creating these local events for the community there. But also we just had a very successful first event in Europe in Berlin at Zalando with Heike. And there we really bring people together on a local event. And next to that, we're really setting up industry partnerships. We're working with organizations like NRF, Stratagash, and CPG Guys and FMCG Guys to really create an opportunity for women to speak at events. So we partner with the event organizers, and we propose our members for panel sessions or stage time.
That is fabulous. I heard you refer to 30 pieces of insights or thought leadership being published. Can you tell us more about what to expect in those? Are those going to be in and around retail media, very specific? And how are you also sourcing the 30 pieces of thought leadership?
Yeah, it's going to be, at the beginning of this year at NRF, we committed to our goals that by the end of 2026, we want 50% of all people speaking at an industry event to be a woman. So that's the 50%, and then we're going to publish 50 articles by the end of 2026 of those thought leaders to really make their voices heard. And it can be women from all sides of the retail media industry. Actually, they can come from a retailer, from a brand working in ad tech, any woman that's shaping the industry, and really want to shine a light on their efforts.
And in terms of how we source them, because I think Sri, you asked that question. We do have our database. We email them regularly, and we have this opportunity for them to pitch for the journal. So we had a lot of members interested, and we also, because we're sometimes when they join, if time allows, we have conversations with new members as well. So that's where we mention, hey, we have the journal. There's so many opportunities for collaboration. And that's where we see a lot of women pitching amazing ideas. So for me, particularly, it was very interesting to be able to talk more to the brand side, because I'm very, with my job, I'm very close to the retail media network or like publisher side. So from a kind of like content perspective, being able to talk to one of the journalists is with a woman leading Coca-Cola, Euro-Pacific partners. So for instance, that for me was very eye-opening because I usually don't get to spend time with the brands as well. So yeah, it's cool because a lot of women want to share ideas and be featured on the journal as well.
I'm 100% sure a lot of people want to be featured on the journal, and here on the CPG Guys, as in when you get these thought leadership pieces, if you want to publish them, you are always welcome to send them to us, and we'll highlight the amazing women who are going to write and be featured on this as well. And they're also, if they're brands or retailers, they're also welcome to come on the show and do a podcast with us. So now let me flip the coin to the other side. Peter had referred to it much earlier on the show, that men need to be allies. It's an important piece of this journey for WRMC to be successful. So how do men fit in from the equation? Listening to Anna, it was one of your leaders that actually pointed out that it needs to be fixed, which is fabulous that that person took a moment to notice the picture, notice what was missing in the picture, and talk to you about it. But how do men fit into the picture in the WRMC? And in this community, have you designed it in the first place to be inclusive with men?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was going to say something a bit controversial, but I think what is interesting is that for some reason, when we started this, and especially at NRF, when we were on stage, for one second, I felt this massive imposter syndrome. And I was like, what am I going to tell all these people here, which were kind of like 80% men in the audience? This Latina woman coming from Europe is going to tell them that there needs to be more room for women in leadership roles. And will they think that this means, oh, there's less opportunities for men, right? So I think we all understand that. And thanks God that imposter syndrome disappeared right away and I was able to share my ideas. But I think these being here today, this is exactly the type of, I wouldn't say like necessarily help, but the type of support that we need and we appreciate. The fact that you both reach out to us, so did Daniel from the FMCG Guys, and a lot of other people saying, hey, you know what? I actually really care about this mission and I would love to be able to help. And that was something that also happened right after NRF. With Emma, we were just like amazed by the amount of people that we actually got to meet in person because of that talk, and men coming to us and saying, hey, we really care about this. How can we help? So yeah, opportunities for exposure, especially event organizers that also have reached out to us to see if they can get women to speak at their events or if they could tap into the network as well. So these are the things that are actually extremely helpful. So yeah, very inclusive, I would say.
So a couple things. One, Shri, I was looking through their corporate website for Women Retail Media Collective, and they made mention of our dear friend Daniel at FMCG Guys. I noticed the FMCG Guys logo on there. Maybe after today's episode, we can cajole these two into adding the CPG Guys logo to their website as a formal sponsors. But my meet cute story with the two of them was actually back at NRF in January. And I invited them up. I wore my WRMC T-shirt that Shri, we had some custom made for us, and I wore it and took a picture. I took a picture of myself on the floor of NRF wearing the shirt, saying, "Hey, I'm wearing your shirt. Maybe you guys should come find me today, and we can do a selfie." And we ended up at a party that our Omnicom friends at Leap Point were hosting on the top floor of Hudson Yards, with a beautiful view of Lower Manhattan, and that's where I got to meet these two incredible entrepreneurs and get to know a little bit more about their business. So we're really excited about this.
I think there wasn't a better place or a more beautiful place to meet at that time. Really, it was, yeah.
It was wonderful. It was wonderful. I'm glad you guys rearranged your schedule to come up and join me there.
It was definitely worth it.
One other thing I want to add, Peter, here in the United States, we very focused just on the US market and we don't take time to learn the international market outside the US. To me, the news section of the website and the thought leadership that was referred to by Anna and Laura is a great way for those who are actually in global roles or work for companies that are global to actually know what's going on with it. There's an article on Tesco that's already out there, on the retail media journey by Julie Giancolas. There's the collective journal from Anna Arfan from Coca-Cola Euro Pacific, which talks about the Europe market. And then I noticed a third one, which talks about Europe's frontline. So if you just want to keep in touch internationally with what's going on in retail media, well, all of a sudden we have a source now above and beyond just the Women in Retail Media Collective.
Thanks for that, Shri. So my last question for you, now Shri will have one more after me, but my final question for you is, how are you making yourselves known to the industry, and what channels are you leveraging to connect with potential members?
Well, I'll take that because I'm a marketer. So our digital channels, of course, LinkedIn, where we have a newsletter as well, the website, as you mentioned, and we also send emails to our members. Also, the partnerships that we've established from very early on. So not only partnering with, associations, but also other vendors. We cannot really say now, but we have big plans for Cannes. So we're very excited about that. And so anyone that would like to partner for events or content, we're very happy to join forces. Of course, the speaking engagements, as we mentioned, and events and networking. I think the one of the most valuable things for me, and that I actually am very grateful for, is Megan Stevens from Best Buy and Care Peers. They are leading the Minneapolis chapter, and as Emma said earlier, and we have, if I'm not wrong, I think we have one event per month. So it's the list of attendees is outstanding. I did not know there were so many women and retail media networks based out of Minneapolis. So that's a good example as well on how, there's more women and more people knowing about our efforts because of these local initiatives as well.
You know why Minneapolis is so filled with people in this industry? It's the legacy of Roundel. Target Media was basically the OG of this business next to Amazon. And if you look out across the various retail media networks and ad tech place, you've got Claire Wyatt at the Trade Desk. You've got Evan Havorka at Albertsons Media Collective. You have Christy Argelin running Uber advertising. You have Allison Soderberg running sales and client service at Ulta UB Media. So it's a whole bunch of people. Harvey Ma, who's at Sam's Club. They're all people that came from Target, and they are now all over the industry. I say the same thing when it comes to loyalty. If you do a DNA test on most people in loyalty, you will find that everyone is somehow related to Edwina Dunn and Clive Humby, the founders of dunnhumby. I say that jokingly, but there's a little measure of truth to that.
I was going to say, Peter, for a minute there, I did take a step back and like, what's going on with Minneapolis? And then it was pretty obvious that, of course, it's Roundel. And who's who in retail media has actually been born from Roundel, because it was one of the first, we had Amazon ads, and you had Roundel was the first real kind of mass merchandiser with scaled stores to get into the retail media business, which
certainly from an omni-channel perspective, Sri, right?
Oh, totally, Peter. And they have actually embraced digital from day one, right? Like Target has been in the digital game, digital business, omni-channel for a decade and a half, when most are still learning to the day, right? And that was a clear indication why many are from Minneapolis. I wonder now with the Women in Retail Media Collective, what the next center is going to be. Hopefully New York City, Chicago, where ad agencies and they're the hotbeds of advertising. Maybe it'll be Austin, Dallas, maybe even Los Angeles. And maybe if it's Los Angeles, who would love to help. So,
Sri, if they come out to LA, we can take them to a Dodgers game, a World Series champion LA Dodgers game. What do you think about that?
8 times World Series champion needs to play catch up big time to be up top.
You understand we have this running baseball feud going between us, so pay no attention to us, ladies.
So let me flip over to the actual goals of the first year, right? We're about 2.5 months into the calendar year already. Talk to us about what your very near term, very specific goals are for 2025.
Yeah, we when we launched this, we were really looking at the industry that is exploding in the coming 2 years, and NRF, we committed to the goal of that by the end of 2026, we want 50% of all people speaking at industry events to be a woman. So that's our very ambitious and bold goal, but we're really working.
But achievable. If we work hard at it.
We think it's achievable if the whole industry wants to work with us on that goal. And really, that's also where the partnerships come in. Like, we really need the event organizers. We really need everyone to participate in order to make this happen. But we committed ourselves to it. So we're really excited to make it happen. So we really want to shine a light on the women in the industry, make their voices be heard, both on stage and virtually by the content we publish. So that's why we published the 50 articles by the end of 2026.
And Peter, when those 50 articles, one by one, as I mentioned earlier, as they're published, we'd be happy to post links to them on the CPG Guys. So make sure you do let us know as and when they're published.
All right. Now, before I say goodbye to you, I'll turn it back to Emma and just ask you to remind everybody, how can they get involved in WRMC?
Yeah, we really invite everyone who's listening to get involved. If you're a woman in retail media, please join us. Sign up via the website, wrmcollective.com. If you're an ally, help us create opportunities and invite women to speak at your events. Share our mission and be like the CPG Guys, partner with us. And follow us on LinkedIn, Women in Retail Media Collective. attend our events and contribute to the conversation.
And Laura, anything to add to that?
No, she said it perfectly well.
Perfect. All right. Well, listen, Emma and Laura, we are so grateful for having you join us today. Shri, we're going to have to email them a high-res version of our logo. Maybe we can get them to put it on their website. What do you think? We'll twist our arm a little bit, but
We'll think about it.
All right. So thank you for joining us, ladies.
Thank you so much for having us. It's really an honor, and it's been a pleasure to talk with you again.
The honor is all ours, and to our audience, all of the links you'll find in the digital liner notes of this episode. So, Shri, what a great conversation with Emma and Anna Laura from Women in Retail Media Collective. What were your thoughts?
A couple of things that stood out in my mind, Peter. First, they've done a pretty good job of knowing the numbers, right? Why we have 30% representation versus close to 50, I do not know. But obviously, that needs to be fixed. And I think the way they're going about is very surgical. Hey, let's get a survey out. Let's put goals out. Let's do 50 thought leaderships. It'll highlight 50 different people, hopefully. And also recruit members to join and be a collective voice. I like the approach of how they're doing that. That's why they already have 600-700 members already enrolled in Women in Retail Media Collective. But when you have very concrete goals, and you chase them, you declare them and you chase them, you're going to be successful. The part where I think the industry needs to pay attention and step up is the allyship part. This can only be fixed if we men make the effort to understand the situation and make sure we contribute in a meaningful way to get it to 50-50, as Anna referred to right at the beginning of the program. Your thoughts?
I agree, Shri. It's our job to help advance this cause. It's the right thing to do. As girl dads, you and I are committed to this. We have been since we launched this podcast, and we're only redoubling our efforts. I think it's important that all people, regardless of their background, be presented with the opportunity to advance on their merits, and we have to help encourage that in the industry. So I'm really excited about what they're creating. I know you and I are going to be more engaged with them, sponsoring events they have and making sure we highlight what they're doing. So I thank you for taking the time today to speak with them along with me about this.
The one other thing, Peter, I want to add is it takes courage when you're working full time to start something. My hat's off to these two women, Anna and Emma, for having the courage and patience. It's going to be perseverance. It's going to be tenacity. Those are all virtues that are not easy to display on every single day. And these two women have certainly started with the right intent and certainly displaying that. As you mentioned, Peter, we will be showcasing the Women in Retail Media Collective often here on the CPG Guys. So I look forward to that. But I also want to wish the both of them in their career journeys as well as in the growth of Women in Retail Media Collective. When this episode is released, we will be at or near the kickoff party at Shop Talk. Watch out and look out, folks, for the QR code on the display banner, as Peter has mentioned earlier. By a simple scan with your smartphone, you will be able to learn more about the Women in Retail Media Collective, and we encourage you to join.
Yeah, or just use the link that's in the digital liner notes of this episode. Shri, as always, thank you for joining. If you're listening, don't forget, follow us on your favorite platform, Apple or Spotify. Give us a rating. That helps make our podcast more findable. And we look forward to speaking with you on the next episode of the CPG Guys podcast. Goodbye. The content in this podcast episode is provided for general informational purposes only. By listening to our episode, you understand that no information contained in this episode should be construed as advice from CPG Guys LLC or the individual author, hosts, or guests, nor is it intended to be a substitute for research on any subject matter. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by CPG Guys LLC. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The views expressed by CPG Guys LLC do not represent the views of their employers or the entity they represent. CPG Guys LLC expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, or inability to use this podcast or the information we present in this podcast.